Good afternoon. Great to see so many of you. I can't wait till we can get together and do this in person. This is by way of Zoom is getting old, I'm sure, for all of us. But before I get started, I want to make sure that I did thank our University System Board of Trustees, President Bobbitt, Chancellor Steinmetz, for their continued support, not only during this process, but throughout this past year, and for our student athletes and coaches. I want to thank our CFO and Deputy AD, Clayton Hamilton, for his assistance during this process, as well as our Chief and Senior Legal Counsel, Matt McCoy, who was instrumental in us wrapping this up so quickly. I also want to thank our Razorback Foundation staff and so many of our Razorback Foundation donors who really stepped up and went above and beyond what their normal annual donations would be to make sure that we were able to appropriately sign Coach Musselman to a deal that I think he deserves and is reflective of where our basketball program is and where we want it to be moving forward. So that's my gratitude. But obviously, as this season progressed, many asked me about Coach Musselman and the renegotiation of his contract. And Coach and I communicate, as I indicated, on a regular basis, and thought it was in the best interest of everybody involved if that went to the back burner and we just focused on winning basketball games through the completion of the SEC season and then into the NCAA tournament. And that's exactly what we did. Shortly after the season was over, Coach and I got together and talked about really what was important to him moving forward to continue to be our head coach, and how I could take care of him and show that his efforts and what he was building here were appreciated. And that's why we're here today. We're able to sign Coach to a new agreement. I think all of you have the details of that agreement, but it's my goal as the director of athletics that Eric Musselman is our basketball coach for as long as he wants to be. We compensated him towards the top of the Southeastern Conference, which is our goal, and also in the top 10 in the country. So with that, Mike, I think you're going to turn it over to Coach, and then I'll take some questions.
Yes, Coach Muss, if you could give us a brief opening statement.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't, myself and my family, we can't be more thankful for, Hunter believing in us and Chancellor Steinmetz and all the people that Hunter thanked, not just for myself, but for my wife, Danielle. And then with the timing, just to kind of piggyback on what Hunter just said, it's exactly how it went down. I mean, we were so focused on winning games. And then even when our season was over, Hunter and I talked, and I said, can we wait a little bit? There's still the portal that we're trying to work through. So we're just really appreciative of the opportunity, and we understand coaching here at Arkansas is so special, and we're building something that we think is really special, and we can't wait to continue moving forward and building off last year's success. And there's a lot of hard work that we have to do to continue this thing, but we look forward to it. And really, I think anytime, something like this happens, it's really a credit to the culture that starts at the top, starting with Hunter and our athletic department, and then funneling down to our coaching staff and our support staff in our building that work tirelessly. And then ultimately, it really comes down to the players and their dedication to what's happened over the last 2 years. It's really a credit to what our guys have done as well. So with that, Mike, it's back at you.
Thanks, Coach. Again, if you have a question, raise your hand. With a lot of people on here, I don't have everyone on my screen at once. So but I'll let Bob ask the first question of Hunter. And again, all first rounds of questions will be just for Hunter. Thanks.
Hey, Hunter, how you doing?
Good, Bob. How are you?
I don't think I can ever remember so many big jobs opening up after a season, like Indiana, North Carolina, Arizona, go on and on. How concerned were you? It seemed like Eric, I guess as a compliment, he showed up on everybody's short list for those openings. How concerned were you about some of these other very attractive jobs coming after Eric?
Well, I mean, obviously it is a tribute to our program and success of as Eric talked about, our student athletes and Eric and his staff. But him and I have a great relationship. We talk on a regular basis. And I trusted him when he told me this is the place he wanted to be. And when I think we've got to give our men's basketball program a little bit more credit than to think that all of those schools you mentioned are better basketball jobs than we have here at the University of Arkansas with the fan base that we have, the recruiting base that we have. And so I wasn't necessarily worried about many of those jobs, to be honest with you, Bob, because I think what we have here is really, really special. And I think Coach Musselman realizes that as well.
Hey, one more quick one. I saw the clause about the University of San Diego, which I know is Eric's alma mater, and it's a fine school, I'm sure, in a wonderful city. Was that Eric's idea? And I guess how worried are you about the University of San Diego stealing Eric away?
If as Coach Musselman continues to age, if he wants to go and finish his career at the University of San Diego, who am I to keep him from that opportunity, Bob?
Okay, thanks.
Nate Allen.
Yeah, Hunter, was this almost done with kind of a comfortable urgency where, I mean, you all wanted to get it done fast, but there was, on the other hand, kind of no rush because of the trust you all had in each other and the whole process of what Eric was going through with the portal and other things?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to describe it, Nate, with a comfortable sense of urgency. And the sense of urgency really surrounds the portal because there's so many young men in the portal and so many that have an interest in the University of Arkansas. And as rumors start to swirl out there in the national media markets about Eric being a candidate here and a candidate there, other schools can use that against us in the recruiting process. And so it's really important for us to get that locked up before the players that we were pursuing in the portal made other decisions because someone used the fact that I had not signed Eric to an extension against us.
Did you ever have any doubt at all during the process, or were you pretty comfortable the whole way?
I was very comfortable the whole way. Never did I think that Eric Musselman did not want to be the head basketball coach at the University of Arkansas.
Thanks.
Andrew Hutchison.
Hunter, I know you said that y'all put it on the back burner during the season, but was there ever a point for you during the season, like, okay, I know I'm going to need to rework this deal, and did it kind of just keep evolving as they continued to win? Yes,
Andrew, it did. You know, I mentioned earlier, I think the Razorback Foundation donors, because many of them stepped up. I mean, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. We've had a really tough year financially, as many schools across our country have had because we've had reduced capacity. So our budget's down about $35 million in revenue. And so about during the middle of February, I started touching base with some of our donors that I know had a specific interest in our men's basketball program and had a liking for Eric in the direction he had our program, and just said, hey, I may be calling on you as we get to the end of the season because I may need your help in making sure we take care of Coach Musselman the way we're going to need to take care of him to retain him. And so we started formulating that plan, myself and the Razorback Foundation. And, you know, it continued to grow a little bit as each time we won in the NCAA tournament. And that's the cost of success, which I'll take that anytime.
Again, if you have a question, please raise your hand. Next, we'll go to Hayden.
Hey, Hunter, thanks so much for doing this so quickly for us. I'm just sort of curious, these coaching searches and agreements, and so much is hush-hush, but you guys have been putting out these videos via the social media team. I mean, I know this process is so interesting to us, especially in the media, but the fact that you guys put these videos out sort of on a daily basis and we saw this coming, I mean, why do you guys take that kind of unique approach to this sort of situation?
Well, I think it's a lot of it goes back to the recruiting. And Coach Musselman has an incredible social media following. And I think he is hip with many of the young men we're recruiting and trying to attract to our program. And, you know, that first video we set out was very impromptu. Eric's agent and I kind of came to a formal verbal agreement about 9:45, 10 o'clock on Monday night. Shortly thereafter, I got a text and a ring at my doorbell, and it was Eric and Danielle wanting to celebrate and have a champagne toast with Jennifer and I to celebrate his new agreement, which is pretty cool. And so we took a picture that night to kind of memorialize that. But since the agreement wasn't in writing, we couldn't really put anything else out there other than that little tease. And then, of course, we had a little tease on the bus yesterday, and then got the agreement officially executed early part of this afternoon. So that's kind of how that process and how that all came to be. But that's more of Coach Musselman as a recruiting tool for him. As you've seen, he is active, as is his entire team, on social media.
I'm still mad at Hunter that he got to post that tweet too. He got a lot of likes on that thing.
Any other questions for Hunter? Scotty?
Yeah, Hunter, just looking ahead to next season, just what are your impressions of the guys that Eric and his staff have been able to grab out of the portal with even proven players from big leagues or even some high-level guys at the mid-major level?
Sure. I mean, I just talked to Coach about them, and I've watched their videos, and all impressive young men, at least in their highlight videos, but there's a reason they call them highlight videos, and I'm sure Coach Musselman will fine-tune his game and blend our new players in with our returning players, and was over in the training room yesterday, and pretty exciting to see those guys, and they're in there already working hard. Devo and KK and Jalen, looking forward to next season and getting better both in the weight room and on the court. And we're in April, and our season's just been completed for about 2 weeks, and those guys are already dialed in and focused on getting better for next year. And that's the culture that Eric has set within our program.
Thanks, Scotty. Looks like we don't have any other questions for Hunter, but I'll ask him to hang out just a little while in case
Hey,
someone.
Mike, I think Nikki had a question.
Okay, Nikki?
Yeah. Hey, Hunter, the buyout goes from 7.5 million down to 2 after this one season, I believe, if I have that right. Could you just explain like what the logic is in having such a big one and then just shortly after one season it dropping down so low?
Sure. I think that shows the level of trust between Coach Musselman and myself, and my belief that this is the place that he wants to be. And there's not anything that needs to be written in a contract with any dollar amount on it that will keep him here. Plus, I hope I incentivized him. If you also notice, there's a $1.5 million bonus in there for him if he's our coach in 5 years. And I think that's a pretty heavy incentive for him to stay. But I think it goes back to the trust that him and I have with each other of why that buyout is what it is.
I think Bob has a follow-up, but again, I can't see everyone on my screen. So if you have a question, please use the raise your hand function. Bob?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I did have one. Hunter, seriously, was that Eric's idea about the University of San Diego or his agents? Or how did that thing even end up in the contract?
That I don't know if it was Eric's idea or not, but that came from Eric's representative. Yes.
Okay, and then, I mean, obviously everybody likes money and wants to be well paid and all that, but Nolan Richardson used to say, I'm paraphrasing here, that it wasn't just about the money, it was about what it said about you, like where you rank. Like if you felt like you were one of the best coaches, you wanted to be paid like top 5 money. And this moves Eric from like 49th to top 10. How big a consideration was that? Like, hey, I feel like I've got a top 10 coach. He should be compensated as such.
Well, I knew we didn't have the 49th best coach in the country, and I knew we didn't have the 13th best coach in the Southeastern Conference, Bob. And Coach Musselman deserved to be paid. And I think as I look at through the USA Today research, that this puts him in the top 10, in the top 3 or 4 in the Southeastern Conference. And I think he's where he should be now.
Thanks.
If you don't have any other questions for Hunter, again, I'll have him hang out for just a little while, and we'll turn it over to questions for Coach Muss. And again, we'll let Bob start us off. And please use the raise your hand function if you have a question.
Yeah, hey, Eric, congratulations. What I just asked Hunter, I mean, obviously you want to make money for yourself and your family and take care of them as best you can, but was it important to you that your salary reflects, the job you're doing?
I mean, I would say not really, Bob. I mean, it might be to my wife, but I mean, throughout the whole process, I mean, Hunter and I we continue to communicate and talk, and certainly, I think everybody, wants to, feel appreciated, and I felt much appreciated before this contract got done. So. My family and I are, more than happy and grateful. But we did feel that way, prior to. I mean, Hunter said it, this is a great basketball job. Feel really fortunate to have given, just to get the opportunity 24 months ago. So I guess the biggest thing is just, we're appreciative. My wife's happy here. We're happy here. And we're just happy that Hunter believes in us moving forward.
And I know you probably don't want to mention specifics, but how many schools did your agent hear from, about, hey, we want to see if Eric wants to be our coach?
I mean, not many, because he knew how I felt. And look, I mean, I love being here. My wife loves being here. My daughter, my son on staff. When you coach whether you're coaching in the NBA, it comes down to, to your owner and your general manager. And in college, a lot, it comes down to your chancellor and your president and your athletic director. And just being able to have a communication line like I do with Hunter is more than valuable. And then just the Razorback brand nationally. I mean, right now, coming off the season that we just had and laying the foundation that the student athletes did last year in year one, we have a really, really strong brand nationally. And there was a strong brand before I got here, and there'll always be a strong brand. So to me, this is a premier job, and in a very, very short time, we've met a lot of friends too outside the athletic department that make it a really comfortable place for my wife and daughter. And so, I mean, there was some maybe calls, Bob, but nothing that nothing that was anything more than that. It was really about how do Hunter and I come to an agreement that everybody feels comfortable with.
And was the San Diego clause, was that your idea? Was that just kind of a nod to your alma mater, or what's the deal with that?
I think that's a great phrase, a nod to my alma mater. And I got to be honest with you guys. I have a group thread. There's 9 of us that all played together, and they're going to be really happy when they see that, because no one thought that I would actually put that in there or ask Hunter to put it in there. So there's a lot of burritos that are owed to me when I go back for a 3 or 4 day vacation in San Diego. And yes, it was just kind of a nod to the place that I went to school. And I don't think that University of San Diego is going to be competing with the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Thanks. You ought to at least schedule them. Thanks, Eric.
Dudley.
Obviously, you got some recruits out of the portal. Just talk about what you were looking for to fill back in on the roster, and are you still looking to add any more?
Yeah, Dudley. I mean, I think that we wanted to try to get some guys that would fit in with some of our returners. Obviously, the way that Devo Davis ended the season and the way that Jalen Williams ended the season, for the entire season, JD Notae proved that he had incredible scoring ability, and obviously Connor Vanover had a really good start to the season. So we just kind of took all these returning pieces and then tried to go out and find guys that would really complement them. And we really felt like we wanted a dynamic guy that could score the ball at that point guard position. And obviously we feel like Chris can do that for us because he's a proven player in the ACC. And then DC Tony's a guy that is so versatile. He's great in transition. He's long, he's athletic. He can play the 2, he can play the 3, he can play the 4. He fits in our transition offense. He's a much improved 3-point shooter. And then Stanley, same thing, a guy that can play multiple positions. And we lost a lot too. I mean, Justin Smith was really important to us, and Moses Moody. And I just feel like Jalen Tate's role. So we needed some veterans and some guys that could help. We still have a really young nucleus, and so those 3 guys are really going to be able to help us. And then we're excited about Chance Moore, an incoming freshman. And but we're really excited. I think that, we'll continue to monitor what happens with the transfer portal, and even monitor, the high school guys as well. But we feel really good with where we are right now, roster wise. And I think a lot of, there's a lot of, everyone talks talent, but you want to have really, really good chemistry, and you want roles to align with each other. And right now I feel like we have that.
Hutch.
Yeah, Coach, I was wondering if you could maybe give us some insight on how the bus video that y'all posted last night came about. Whose idea was it, and who gets credit for that?
Social media team. They're awesome. I mean, there's 3 or 4 people that all behind the scenes, whether it's a, in-season football thing that they put, they're awesome. I mean, they're fun to be around. They're creative. I mean, basically they just told Hunter and I what to do, and we just kind of followed suit. Hunter and I can take credit for the picture the other night, but the videos is all the social media team. They really are like incredible, and that was all on them, Hutch.
And then also with the portal, having guys like Justin and Jalen that have had so much success and doing it at the big stage, like in the Elite Eight, does that open more doors? Have you noticed that at all, that, more transfers are interested in Arkansas because of their success?
I think so. Playing on a big stage, I know that, almost everybody that we've recruited was familiar with, with our run, for sure. Maybe not in the regular season, but certainly in the, in the NCAA tournament, that's really helped tremendously. And also with some players, it's hurt because some people are, they feel like the roster's too good for them. And you know what? Those are players that aren't going to fit in our culture anyhow. And then there's other guys that, like, they really want to play in a winning environment. They really want to get better every single day in practice. They're, the guys that have committed to us, they're really excited with playing with Devo and Jalen and JD and so on and so forth. So, but I think there's, when you win, there's a lot of great things, but then there are, a few recruits that maybe, for them, it's okay to play on a roster that maybe isn't looking to aspire, to advance deep. If you want to advance deep or try to advance deep in the tournament, come join us. We're ready for you.
Nate Allen.
Just were you comfortable with the pace that this was done as far as the contract? It was done quickly, but yet not so quickly that to distract you from the things you had to do, like the portal and other things?
Yeah, Nate. I would say that, the timing was, it was awesome. Hunter allowed us to go build a roster, and, if anything, the timing was slightly, put on the back burner because we were trying to build the team, and Hunter understood, while we were playing, we wanted to focus on winning. Once the tournament ended, we were slightly behind in the portal because while we were playing, there was programs that were recruiting. We weren't able to, we tried to recruit when we were in that bubble, but it's hard to really get on a Zoom and be focused when you're getting ready to play Baylor. That your Zoom might not quite be as good, or your presentations might not be quite as good if you're trying to advance in that thing. So Hunter was incredible, with his patience and talking to me, and then talking to my agent and going back and forth. So from my perspective, my wife's perspective, the timing was, on a scale of 1 to 10 was a 10 out of 10, because it allowed us to focus on the season, and then it allowed us to focus on the portal. And then once we thought we had our roster stabilized, an agreement got done.
I guess too, in retrospect of the Final Four, do you all get any recruiting mileage out of playing Baylor better than the teams in the Final Four did?
I think that every game is, I think that over the last 2 years, you guys have heard me talk about every game's got its own identity, but certainly, once we were eliminated and we got to watch Baylor play the next 2 games, I think it put it in perspective, because a lot of the players were texting me, hey, if we would have made this, three ball at this juncture of the game, or how close we were. And, I think really what happened is, we came out, we started off like we always did. We got behind and we were kind of shell shocked a little bit with the force that Baylor played at. And that's why they're a national championship team. But I've gone back, I've watched that tape way more than I would like to. I've watched that tape way more than my wife would prefer to have me on once the season's over. I'm still living on every possession that happened, and going back through decision making and substitution patterns and play calls and defensive coverages. But we played Baylor, really tough. We really did. And I know we lost the game and they beat us clearly. But one shot goes down or one player gets hot and you never know what could happen. But, we lost the game to a better team.
Thank you.
Hayden.
Hey, Coach, congratulations. I was just kind of wondering, a year ago, we're in the very beginning of this pandemic. You're losing your two best players from the season before to the draft, and we're looking at maybe not even having a season. To a year from now, you're signing a new contract, your family's happy. Do you take a minute and kind of think about that at all, or is it just, all right, we're going back to the grind, we're going back to business?
Yeah, no, I think, it's for us, it was just, even during when we first got together, it was just, how do we continue to get better every day? We didn't flinch during the pandemic. The testing and everything that went on. Our guys had, great belief in one another, and just like there is in every season, there's ups and downs, and there's turning points, and there's, defining moments, and, we've gone through a lot of those, but it happens so quick, but that's kind of how a college basketball season goes. And we kept getting better. And that's why we put ourselves in the position to be playing in an Elite Eight is, this ball club, when other teams got tired, we kept getting better, and we kept coming in the gym, and guys kept getting reps. And I think it's just a credit to, the type of character and chemistry that we had.
Kyle.
Coach, I think it's interesting when you look at your career arc, you can almost break it into two, where you grinded for a decade plus in the G League before, being rewarded as a head coach in the NBA. And then you had to really reinvent yourself in college, and you really took a step back. And I wonder, with those years in mind and having to really reinvent yourself, how personally rewarding is this?
I think just getting the opportunity that Hunter gave me, even, looking back, on the day that I was hired. I mean, Danielle, laughs all the time about, maybe places that I couldn't get an interview because, there was, for an NBA guy or somebody that coached in the minor leagues, you can't recruit, and do you really understand the college game? And, are you really going to embrace being on a college campus? We laugh about it all the time, because I can't wait to go to, a sporting event on campus. I'd like to talk to all the coaches of other sports here on campus and learn from them. I don't know if there's anybody in the country that's happier and has more fun on a college campus than I do. Whether it's, post game with the student section, or, or going to a fraternity house or sorority house for, some event that they've invited us to. I love being on a college campus. It's just, in life, sometimes certain people are willing to give you an opportunity, and that's up to you and your staff and your players to take advantage of opportunities. And, Hunter's the first one that gave me a Power 5 job. So, the gratitude and like we owe it, to him. He gave us a platform to try to go out and be successful at this level. And no one can appreciate, this job more than I have. There's not a lot of coaches that have coached in Dominican Republic and Venezuela and put your ego aside and try to work your way up the ladder when you'd already been at a high level. So, I promise you, like there's not a coach, there's not a family in the country that's more appreciative of the opportunity, because I've had the highest of highs, and I've also had to grind from the bottom up and kind of start my career over. And I think that's also why we've had success too, because of the appreciation. When there's a lot of coaches that maybe haven't been fired before, I know what that feels like. I know you have to look back when you've been let go at a certain place and try to figure out a way to become a better coach and be a constant learner. And so I think all those things have really benefited me throughout my career.
Scotty.
Hey, Coach, I know Stanley Amude came to Bud, earlier in your first year. I don't remember a ton about him from that game other than he was South Dakota's top guy. But, what's kind of the scout on him? What made him a target for you guys? And where do you think he can, benefit you guys the most?
Well, I think Stanley, he can do so much. He can post up against equal size or smaller players. He's got a great turnaround jump shot. He can make face-up threes. He can rebound the basketball, especially as a defensive rebounder. He's a good runner of the floor. He's in that perfect size range for us where we can play him at the off guard if we had to, and we wanted to be big and be a post-up team for a few possessions at the off guard spot. We can play him at a natural small forward or power forward, which we really don't call our guys power forwards or small forwards. They're basically wings. And that's where him and DC Tony come in. They're both wings that can complement each other, and we can kind of, depending on the defensive matchup, we can kind of play those guys in certain spots. But I think just the versatility, really, Scotty, of both those guys becomes really, really important for us as we look at, how the style we want to play, the pace that we want to play at, and then what we're going to do defensively as well.
Ty.
Eric, you spoke to Hunter Yurachek of being a great communicator. I know Dave Van Horn said the same thing. You think about kind of really Arkansas athletics is prospering right now. I know you've been taken care of as far as a raise goes. Do you think your boss deserves a raise considering where Arkansas athletics is in its current state right now?
There's zero doubt. Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that working for Hunter, I can't imagine, working for anybody better because of the communication skills. The other thing too is we all lose games, and, when you get supported by somebody after a loss, or you still feel, great belief after a loss. I mean, I think it's, we're all excited after a win, but, and then the other thing is I feel Hunter's competitiveness, and some guys take, winning and losing at different levels. I mean, he actually is, no different than a coach. He hates to lose. You can feel it, when you're around him, which is awesome. Cause that means he wants to try to help us win as much as possible too. He's an aggressive winner, I would call it, just with his mentality, which, but what this athletic department, I mean, just look around at the coaches and the student athletes on campus. And the thing is, he's always wanting to improve the department. And when he has his head coaches meetings, I mean, we're more informed than any other head coaching group, I believe, in the country because of the communication skills. And, when you're working for what you think is the best athletic director, in the country, it makes it a really, really special place.
And you spoke about Baylor a little bit earlier. You've watched film since then. Hey, what sub could have done differently, blah, blah, blah. And you look at the Big 12 SEC Challenge coming up, and I know Coach Ruda handles the schedule, and I know that's more of a Commissioner Bowlesby, Commissioner Sankey, television networks. But with them playing at home this past year, you guys playing on the road, would you like to potentially see Scott Drew come to Fayetteville this next year?
I'd like to know his roster before I answer that, his final roster. But I mean, anytime you play in that particular challenge, whether it's us or, Alabama or Auburn or, Georgia, we all want the SEC to win as many games as we can, because certainly that helps once you get to March and the selection Sunday. So, I think that, whoever we play is going to be a big time challenge. And we have so many new guys coming back. I'm not really sure what the extra motivation. I'm sure the fan base, and some of the coaches and support staff and stuff, will have a taste in our mouth about that loss. But I just think there's too many, with the roster changeover and stuff. I'm not sure there'd be a whole lot of carryover. But whoever we play is going to be a challenge for sure. I mean, we saw that, last year when we had to play on the road at Oklahoma State.
Hey, Mike, I've got to run to another commitment. So thank you guys all. Keep firing away with those questions to Coach Musselman. And Ty, thanks for that question. I'm going to get you Chancellor Steinmetz's phone number, by the way. Y'all have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks, Hunter. Appreciate it. We'll go to Bob. Don't see their hands raised, but if you have any other questions, please use the raise hand function. Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, Eric, I know there were some rumors out there. Jeff Goodman just tweeted about Corey Williams going to Texas Tech. Could you confirm that? And what would be your comment on that?
Yeah, I don't know what, not really sure what I can comment other than to say that, yes, Corey has spoken to, another program and we anticipate him, taking another job. Corey's incredible, sometimes, new opportunities and, arise and you look at that as a new challenge. So, we would anticipate him taking another job and we're going to miss him because he was a big time part of our family for sure.
Well, I'm sure you'll have a lot of people calling you wanting to replace Corey. How do you approach? You obviously been busy recruiting players. Now you've got to fill in a coaching vacancy. Just how do you approach that?
Yeah, I think first of all, you always look internally. And Earl Boykins is on staff. He's a guy that certainly would be a great college coach. Coach Ruda, is on staff and even some of the guys that are in the background, Hayes Myers has been with us for a long time, and Pat Eckerman and Michael Musselman, all those guys aspire to be coaches. So I think, I'd first just, take a deep breath, look internally. And then, I have a list of really just a few people, that you kind of always have in the back of your mind if there's ever any change. And certainly when you win, opportunities come up for staff members and we've had other guys interview for head jobs that are on staff. And we've had, there's been a lot of interest in a lot of people on our staff, which is a great thing. Everybody, when you, it's a great example of when you win, how everybody kind of benefits. And so, we'll just take our time, but move as quickly as we can, on having a full staff.
Do you have a timetable for, I want to have this person in place by such and such a date?
Not really. I think that, in the portal, I'm probably the lead recruiter. And so that's not going to change. It's Danielle and I haven't gone on a vacation. The season's over. I've been in working on Saturdays and Sundays. So I'll continue to be the lead recruiter for the portal. It'll probably always be that way. I think that I need help when we get to the, to the high school. And certainly we need help in the portal, but now that we're, our roster's taking shape, I don't think we need to be in a huge hurry. Obviously, we have finals coming up and we're not going to have our players do anything on the basketball floor while finals is coming. And then obviously they get a little bit of break and And then we come back right around May 24th. And that, May 24th is when we get back in this gym and we start a journey, that's really going to begin once that first semester of summer school starts.
I've got one more kind of a fun one, although I'm sure all my questions are fun for you. Was it you or Danielle that decided to go over to Hunter's house? And did you guys bring the champagne, or did Hunter have a stash there in his wine cellar or whatever? Or how did that whole thing come about with you guys going over there and having the toast?
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of waiting on word that that it was kind of final. I feel uncomfortable, talking about stuff, and Hunter and I had an initial meeting, and then, Hunter and our agent kind of talked. And then when we got final word, it was a little bit late. But I actually said to Danielle, let's go over to Hunter's and let's just ring his doorbell, give him and Jennifer a quick hug, and then we can head back home. But I just wanted to give him a hug and thank him. And then Danielle said, well, we got to bring champagne. And so we actually stayed a little bit longer and later than maybe what Hunter wanted me to do that night. But we did have a quick celebration and a big hug and a big thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
I'm not seeing any other questions in the queue, so we appreciate Coach Muss and Hunter for his time, and we will see you guys later. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
Mike. Thanks, Eric.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Congrats.
Thanks.
Thanks.